of ihelpmoms.com, where we are on a mission to bring you the top family experts to make your life easier. And I am so excited for today's interview. I cannot even tell you how excited I am. I've got Sybil, the founder of Jump Start Tutoring, on with me today. She started tutoring, you guys, at the age of 12. Can you believe being that smart and just having that much of a love of learning that you start tutoring kids at 12? Just incredible. I'm so excited to have you on today, Sybil. So welcome.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I'm really happy to be here, and I love the work that you're doing to help parents navigate such a crazy time. So thank you again.
I have this feeling you and I are going to be working a lot together, so I'm so excited. All right, so I know I'm not the only parent. The child gets off the school bus. I'm like, hey, what was the best part of the school day? She's like, everything's good. Gotta go. Let's go. I want to play. I want to talk to my friends. I want to go to soccer. I'm like, cool, because I got a million things to do. So let's keep going here. And I don't know if it's just my family, but with e-learning and distance learning, the homework has gone down. Comparatively to last year, because I think they're playing a lot of catch up and also trying to be mindful of everything our kids are going through, which I do appreciate. But we get those, report cards, and we see that the grades universally across the nation have gone down, and my heart stops. I'm like, holy moly, no more Roblox, kid. I definitely did not do my due diligence here and making us do that extra work to make sure that we're at where we need to be, or even pushing ahead so that next year we can really push forward. So I want to get your tips, Sybil. How do we help parents create a fun learning environment? What is your advice for creating a more relaxing atmosphere so it's not, let's do homework, you have to make up work, we got to get going? Like, what is your, just really professional advice for us parents at home, dreading the homework, dreading the extra work? How can we make this more fun for all of us?
Absolutely, and I'm so sensitive to everything that you've just mentioned. We work with children who are in grades K through 12, and we specialize in SAT prep. And this year, the SAT scores are the lowest they've ever been in the history of the SAT across the entire country. Wow. So, I mean, it's going to have significant impacts on, learning in the future, what's happening now. And it's super important that we talk to families today and give them some practical tips that they can use. So we definitely find that the best way to not get frustrated and to keep learning fun and engaging, number one, is to find out what your child's particular learning style is. So we could have a whole show on that, and I'm just going to touch on it briefly. But, children predominantly have a way that their mind works that helps them retain information better. So some children, like for myself, I was always a singer, and I would literally make little rhymes to myself to remember things. And that's how I studied for tests. So some students are going to be more auditory. Some students are super visual, like they can see an image of something and they can remember it forever. And then other kids are extremely hands-on. Of course, we are usually a combination of these things and other styles, but trying to find out, number one, what is your child's learning style? And there are some quizzes online, admittingly some are better than others. And we can always share resources later, but finding out how your child learns is the number one thing. The other important thing to realize is that, thank goodness, you're not their primary educator in that, official academic sense. Of course, you're teaching. So this is an opportunity to tie lesson plans into things that really interest them in the real world or in real life. So for example, let's say your child has to write an essay, but they're really into photography. Maybe they can write an essay on their favorite photographer or different, styles and fashions of photography. So there's always a way to making learning more engaging and really applicable to real life. And I feel like as a parent, that's an angle that you can take. That's a plus that will make it more fun and engaging. And ultimately, wanting to understand how your child learns, wanting to get to know them as an individual. Because of course it must be so difficult, to have a child and have them need you for everything. And then as they get older, figuring out like this is the separate person who has different ideas and different wants and needs. So I think really just genuinely being interested in seeing how they learn, focusing on real life application of the things that they're learning, finding out what their learning style is, and using games. You can almost turn any topic into a game. So gamifying everything. I think those are some great tips that can keep learning fun and engaging.
I love it. So I'm going to ask you, something that I think about a lot. I've got 3 kids under 8, so you better believe I'm working on reading with one and colors on another and math and multiplication with another. So I'm like bebopping all over the house trying to get everyone learning, but at times I definitely want to turn to technology while I'm working with maybe the younger one and then let the other 2 work on apps. Are you pro apps, against apps? Do you have any other learning tools that, the other kids can be working on as I go one by one by one by one?
So I think with all kids, they all have attention difficulties paying attention for a long time. So I think that a combination of different activities is really the best thing. So maybe you have like a fun little science experiment. And my company even conducts this for parents like online. So it's very possible to have very few necessary tools to have something that's hands-on, and then maybe then spending 20 minutes on an app, and then maybe then it's something that can be done outside. So what I would recommend is not spending all of your time in one sort of technology like an application, but actually trying to find different ways of engaging those senses. That's going to keep it fun and creative and lighthearted, and it's going to be better than them just staring at an app. So although awesome. There's a place for it, but we really want to encourage learning in different aspects. So
you have helped my mom heart and given me some new ideas. So I love that. This is why awesome. I Help Moms, we love going to the expert. And that leads me to my next question for you. Like I said, I think report card hits and most parents are like, holy moly, call the tutor. Let's get Jump Start on the line. Let's go. But really, I have a feeling there's some signs that we can be looking for. And I would love to know some of those signs that parents need to look for to know, oh, you know what? I should call Sybil and make sure that I'm getting proactive tutoring, not reactive tutoring.
I love that. I love that, because you're absolutely right. Unfortunately, a lot of parents do wait until, they get a bad grade on a report card or they get a phone call from a parent before they get help. And especially because many students did not take any standardized tests last year, that means that was an opportunity that would have signaled a lot of parents to the fact that they needed help, but maybe they missed that call. So the number one thing is that their passion for learning has decreased. And of course, some kids are more excited about learning than others are. I can't lie to you. I went to Cambridge for my master's. I was a super nerd, so I did love school. But we've worked with hundreds of kids. And so what I've noticed is that there's at least a class, that your child does like, at least more than the others. So if they're saying, for example, that they're not interested in that subject anymore, that used to excite them, or if they're complaining now more about, oh, school is such a chore, maybe because they're not, getting to socialize with friends, or they're just not adjusting well to distance learning. But if you see that they're starting to lack that passion, especially for topics that they would be interested in, then that's a sign that things are moving in the wrong direction. Particularly, let's say your child has always wanted to go to UF, and all of a sudden, they're like, I think I'll just go to a more regional school. I don't want to go there anymore. And they've kind of, brought down their expectations of themselves and changed like their ideal school or their dream school. They're changing their goals. Then that's a sign that things aren't going too well. And of course, if their grades are slipping, if they're missing assignments, those are obvious signs. But let's say your child's FSA scores were low before the pandemic. If they were not at least at a 3, then chances are now with distance learning, they're probably a bit further behind than they were then. Or let's say your child passed a grade level, but they did it, by the thin of their hair, like barely passed. Then that means they have a very shaky foundation. Or perhaps they're getting in trouble in school, like they're turning in assignments, but teachers saying, they're the class clown. And oftentimes behavioral issues mean that they may be lacking a strong foundation. And so they're not really able to engage in class because they've really missed the background information they need to do well. So I think that those would be some signs that.
Thank you for those signs. That's amazing. That's so helpful. I think these honest conversations with experts like yourself really give parents a great perspective and an honest look at what's really going on with no judgment. We're all about no judgment here at ihelpmoms.com. Which leads me to my final question for you, because you help so many different types of kids. I know you've seen every different type of parent here in South Florida. Right. So my question for you is, what is your biggest piece of advice to help our kids love learning?
So I've touched on it a little bit here, but it's really making learning applicable to real life. Because one of the biggest things, and I'm sure if you speak to any teacher, they'll tell you that every kid says, when am I ever going to learn this, miss, or use this, rather. So if they don't see a real life application for it, it makes it very difficult for them to, stick to a certain subject. But let's say your child, loves anime and wants to be like a graphic designer, then they kind of have to do well in calculus. They have to do well, in their math classes so that they can go to school for this. So I think that making learning a journey of getting to know themselves. I came from a really strict background. My parents are from Haiti, and they really emphasize learning and education, which I'm so grateful for. But I think that it can put a lot of stress on kids if it's just about completing assignment and it's just about getting an A on an exam. Having an educational plan, figuring out what are their interests, what are some hidden talents they have that maybe they would like to monetize in the future, perhaps giving them opportunities to do internships, or do certifications that are going to help them really build experience in a particular field. And as you've mentioned as well, kids that are just not being engaged, who are losing a passion for learning, you might want to bring in an educational consultant to really, walk you through that journey and help them understand that there's an end goal. And this end goal is that you are a holistic, happy, well-adjusted adult. And if we take learning into that lens, I think it will make it a lot more effective and fun.
Wow. I am so honored to spend time with you today. I know I feel just a great sense of calm, and that we can call Sybil, we can get a hold of Jump Start Tutoring and make sure that we really help our kids feel confident and really love that learning process. You're just a wealth of information. So I really hope all of our parents will connect with Sybil on her Instagram. It has so much great information. I love it. I felt so inspired. And what's your email, just in case parents have any specific questions for you?
Right. So they can reach us at admin, ADMIN, at jumpstarttutors with an S.com.
Yay! Don't wait for that next report
Don't
card.
wait.
Go get a hold of Sybil. All right. Thank you so
Thank you so much. And we also have free resources and blogs for parents on our website on jumpstarttutors.com. So feel free to check that out to get started with the learning style quiz.
Wow. Ooh, I'm so excited. I'm going to do it right now. All right. Bye, Sybil.
Bye. Thank you for having me on, Michelle.
Of course.